whether or not we should put in water boxes or sinks. So we're trying to figure out the connection between the dialysis machines to the water supply, right?
Yep, correct.
Yeah, there we
Okay.
go.
And just understand the full procedure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So if you could just walk me through the end of procedure process.
So into the procedure process, patient is done. We disconnect the patient. We call for the patient to be picked up. Once the patient leaves the room, we wipe down the machines. And then after we wait the appropriate contact time for the bleach to dry, we have next patients come generally within 30 minutes of the previous patient leaving.
Okay. Is there any flushing of the fluid that occurs after the patient is disconnected?
Flushing of what fluid?
The machine fluid. Let me rephrase that because I'm
Do you
not
guys
being
clean
very
their shit
technical.
internally?
Yes, that's the question.
Internally, are you speaking directly about the RO, or are you speaking about the dialysis machine? Neither in between patients, I guess, to be general, unless the patient has a virus, like hepatitis B, for example,
Okay.
then we'd be bleaching in between the patients.
Okay.
If the patient has no contact isolation status, then we're running a rinse, and then we're testing machines. But as far as like any disinfectant between machines, as long as their isolation status is negative, no.
Okay. And is there a maximum duration that a device could be used before bleaching would be needed in the procedure?
1 week,
1
generally.
week, okay.
We bleach every week. Or if a patient has an unknown hepatitis B status, or if they have a known positive antigen hepatitis B status. Otherwise, we're running, doing heat disinfection every night after we're done with all the patients, and then also cleaning with vinegar just to get rid of the bicarbonate that builds up in the machine.
Okay. And then I noticed in here, this device is connected to a clinic sink.
Okay.
Would this be the typical type of connection for this sink that you've used?
I've personally never used this sink except in this case.
Understood. So, and were you the one to set it up, or someone came in and set up the procedure for you?
It's set up before this existed before I existed.
Okay. So let's take a step out. Which one of these setups would you typically
I would
be
say
okay with? Like, what would you, if you were asked to set up a device, which room would you use, and how would you connect the water and waste? Like, what would be your procedure? Because if you say you don't typically use this sink, what would?
So yeah, I mean, I hook up the sinks all the time. I hook up the water sources all the time. I'm just saying these are basically set up by the technicians. And as far as like this process, I believe was approved through the hospital. I don't know, because I wasn't involved in that.
Understood. Yep.
So, but I'm your question was kind of ambiguous to me. What would you like to see?
So let me show you the difference between this setup and the one the patient is currently connected to.
Okay.
We have a water connection here that goes to the RO machine, which then feeds the dialysis machine with water. From there is a discharge of waste that comes out and currently discharges into the sink.
Yes.
This one's operating, but in the room over, the patient...
Probably hooked to this. Is that for the waste? Is that where you're...
No, the water's coming out here.
Okay.
The waste would be going into the sink.
Right.
And in the room next to us, where there's an active patient being treated, it is a different connection. If we could look in there real quickly to see the difference. So you see that box?
Right.
So the water's the same.
Right.
But the waste goes into the box separate from the hand soap.
Right.
Is this typically how you would see it?
Well, technically, it should be hooked up to the two tubes that are there for the waste. But either or, in my consideration, is okay. I'm okay with either of those.
And is there any description that provides clarity to how this procedure is to be connected and disconnected by the hospital? Like, have you been provided descriptions as to how this device should be connected?
I don't know. I'm sure that paperwork exists and that form exists. I don't know where to locate that.
That's okay. If we could dig that up, I'd love to reference that just to confirm that what's happening is exactly what the hospital wants to happen.
Okay.
Okay.